KFIZ News Time. It is 8:11. Welcome to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. I am Matt Hinker, and joining me today is Ron Rademann and Master Gardener Patty. Phone lines are open for your questions, so give us a call at 923-1450 or 1-888-900-1450. Can't give us a call? Shoot us an email at kfizstudio@gmail.com. Ron, Patty, good morning.
Good morning.
On this lovely morning. It was a little chilly this morning, but not too bad. I'm wearing a hoodie and shorts, so I feel like fall is officially here.
Yeah, I like this summery type weather we're still getting, though.
It is nice.
Lovely.
Yeah, it has been very
nice.
It's
kind of like our last day of August.
Yeah.
Because it's going to turn into September starting tonight. And,
Yep.
And next week, then but it's still the 10-day, 2-week outlook is pretty much all 70s for highs yet. So we're not
getting real cool. Yeah.
No. And it sounds like we're going to get some rain here tonight.
Yeah.
Late tonight, tomorrow morning.
We need it.
We'll
bad.
see. We'll see if it'll. I think it'll help, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. So, with as dry as it is right now, it might be a little false sense of security almost. Everybody will think, oh, that's just exactly
perfect.
All we need now. And
when in reality, it's not enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably got a dozen emails and texts this past week from people wondering what's the matter with their arborvitaes, what's the matter with their how come my maple's dropping all its leaves already?
They're thirsty.
And it was a pretty short and sweet answer for every one of them, because all I had to do was ask them, well, when was the last time you watered?
Yeah.
And there wasn't a one of them that had a problem other than it was lack of water.
Right, exactly. I've been watering mine, younger trees, 3 and under every week this last couple weeks. Because it's really, really dry.
It is, yeah. It's real dry out there. So I watered I think twice this week, just the vegetable garden, and then my maple gets watered, even though it's obviously well established because I have plants underneath there as well that I was trying to give water. But same though, like I'm trying to keep up on it. So
yeah,
and my maple isn't dropping leaves right now. They all look.
That's right.
They look good.
That's why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some of those, if it's a large, 30 or 40-year-old tree, that's one thing. But, a lot of people are out in newer subdivisions there, and it's even worse as you get out into the Holy Land area or the Lemira area or, Brownsville, where you're up a little higher yet. And it's, I'm in the city of Fond du Lac, and it's, and it's tough, tough there. I have a Japanese katsura tree, and those kind of like it. They like it a little wetter than normal to begin with, and I should have watered it a little bit earlier, a couple weeks ago already, because I couldn't really even save it, so to speak. It pretty much colored up poorly, very poorly, and half of the leaves are now either they're gonna drop without turning color or just drop. So
how young is it?
Oh, it's been there like 30 years.
What? And it's still affected that badly?
Wow.
Wow.
They just that.
Yeah, well, it's not going to die.
No.
He's just not going to get his fall color.
Right. You're not getting the beautiful coloration.
And usually those have a real nice blend. If you look up Japanese katsura tree online, you'll find some pretty nice pictures of fall color with them. And this year, it's not going to have any fall color whatsoever. It's just kind of
brown and then falling.
Real soft, non-vibrant yellow. And a lot of times I can get some nice pumpkin, orange, deep oranges, and it's kind of usually got a blend of yellows and oranges, and
right.
And so I, as I noticed that, then I started watering some of the other trees in my yard that weren't really affected yet. And the katsura tree's in a plant bed that has decorative stone around it, so it's a little worse that way. Although I'm sure the root system extends way out into the lawn area too, which is where I was watering. But some of the other, I have like serviceberry and eastern redbud and some of those too. So I, got on the water on those right away too, because they were definitely, and this was kind of right after we did the show last week. I thought, well, I better practice what I preach here a little bit. And and being in the city of Fond du Lac, and my yard isn't necessarily high and dry. It's not low, not high. It's just average conditions. So, I wanted to get after it and kind of save the other ones, so I'd at least have some nice fall color out of the other ones then yet. So
I just planted a baby, so it's not producing coloration, I don't think, this year. It's like really young. It's like I planted it in May, at the end of May, so it's just getting started.
Yeah. So definitely make sure it's getting watered.
Yeah, I have been.
I figured you did.
Yeah, well, and those will die.
Yeah,
if you're not
right.
planting
You're
a
not
tree
on top of it,
this year.
Coloration is not least of your concerns.
Yeah, I can. You can almost if you planted a tree this year and you haven't watered it at all, you're going to be in big trouble. Yeah. And and some of these might hang in there or linger, but then you're going to have
they won't make the winter.
They won't survive the winter.
Right.
You gotta make sure they're going into winter in good health, and that includes especially now watering arborvitaes and watering evergreens, because they keep their leaves, their needles throughout.
They really need it.
They need the extra moisture. So there you're gonna not only should be watering now, you're gonna have to continue to water into October, into November,
probably till Thanksgiving at least.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because usually it's as long as the ground isn't frozen, it's a benefit. Once the ground is frozen, it's
right.
You're
not doing anything.
Yeah, but all the way until the ground is frozen.
Well, and even last year, and if you're a regular listener, you've probably heard the story a couple times already, but I actually watered. I have some arborvitaes in bordering my property, and I actually went down the basement, turned the water back on, like 3 days before Christmas last year, because the ground wasn't frozen, and we hadn't really. It was pretty nice last year in the whole month of December.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I should get some water on these while I'm thinking of it, while I have the time to do it. So I actually went out and watered them, and it was, I don't remember now, it was 3 days before Christmas or 2, but it was right before Christmas.
Right.
So
not in time you normally think about going out and you're watering the plants, trees, and gardens.
Well, and it's a chore at that point in time, because you have to, go get your garden hoses, which you've
stored away,
which you've stored away. And like I said, I had the water turned off down in the basement, so I'm going down there, switching things around, and then you water, and then of course you have to
put it all away.
Put it all back away.
Can't just leave it all out like you normally would.
But
all right, I tell you what, we'll step away and take our first break as you're listening to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company, which, Ron, I assume is open today?
So, yeah, Rademann's is open today. I got a text through from Joe earlier this morning already. He said he's got room for just a couple more deliveries yet today. So if you want something here to work on yet today, give him a call right away, 920-922-7612.
All right, welcome back to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. I am Matt Hinker, and joined by Ron Rademann and Master Gardener Patty. Phone lines are open for your landscaping and gardening questions. Shoot us a call at 923-1450 or 1-888-900-1450. Can't give us a call? Shoot us an email at kfizstudio@gmail.com. So, Patty, harvesting is coming up, right?
Yeah.
So, what are maybe pointers, tips for our listeners and myself included? Since this is the first time I've really had a vegetable garden. So,
it's really important after you finish harvesting the end of the season that all the vegetable debris gets taken up and out of your garden, especially tomato vines and things that have had some blight issues and different, like your squash vines can have an issue with some of the blights too. If that's all taken out of your garden, and if you want to, you can then plant a cover crop for the winter if you want to do it a really big favor, or I don't work it up in the fall. I just either mulch it over or recommend that it be planted cover crop.
Okay.
Because if you leave that debris in there, you plant tomatoes in there again, then next year, if there's any of that blight fungus or blight issue in there,
just come right back out.
It'll come right back.
And we really had a tale of two seasons this year.
Did.
Because back in, things got started early this year. So back already in late April, the whole month of May, the whole month of June, it was so wet that we had a lot of fungus.
Yes.
Fungus is blight, blight is fungus. Those are kind of words used interchangeably. And we had a lot of blight and fungus going on early part of the season. So a lot of the foliage was affected back then, and then some of the new leaves, the new foliage, the new growth came out, and it was fine because we had the hot, dry conditions then, which doesn't really work real well for the fungus and the blight, but it was all still there from back in during the month of June.
Yeah.
So you got to get rid of it. You'd think, well, there can't be anything left after as hot and dry as it's been over the, throughout the end of July, all of August, and here in the first few weeks of September. But it's all still there.
Yeah.
Those spores are still there.
Yeah, fungus is a very hardy overall. It's a very hardy life form in general.
And it has a habit of, every time there is some rain, the spores will splash up on the top, the higher leaves. So it just keeps moving up the plant. That's why we have no leaves on our lilacs this year. It's already taken all the leaves off the lilacs.
Wow. Okay. So what with again a novice? What does some of that blight look like, for example?
Well, it starts as little bitty brown spots, on the tomatoes anyway. And
okay.
And then pretty soon the whole leaf just shrivels up and turns brown. And then
you can it looks a little, dusty, let's just say. That's a lot of,
that's on the lilacs, yeah. That's powdery mildew mostly.
Okay.
That kind of fungus and virus. But the tomatoes it starts, if you can take off those leaves, which I did this year, it's already kind of too late because it just moves so quickly.
Right. It spreads, which is what it's what fungus and those spores are meant to do.
Yeah.
Is spread easily at that. So.
And it could have been prevented if I would have sprayed the plant before anything started, but you don't in May, you're not going to spray. It's like, they're looking good. You're not going to spray.
Yeah, you're not thinking about that.
No. So.
Well, and this year it was kind of interesting too, because I've seen I had a friend that planted a tree lilac, and it was affected by the fungus. It's kind of semi-shady where it was planted, and so it had got the fungus, and it lost some of the leaves early on. And then we started getting the dry weather towards the end of July, and I said, it was planted a couple years ago, and it's raised up a little bit. So I told him, I says, you gotta, probably should be watering. And so he watered it a couple times, and it kind of started regrowing and actually reflowering.
Yeah.
So it got it got a second. I don't know what it's going to do next year, if it'll get flowers again, but
it should.
It kind of, yeah, it was, like I said, it was really like enough. We've had enough summer this year. It's kind of crazy that it could flower, leaf out and flower, lose its leaves, and then leaf out and flower again. And now with the warm weather and the lack of frost that we're going to get here, we're not going to get a frost throughout the month of September here the way it looks.
It doesn't look that way.
So, I think it's going to go back into normal fall dormancy in October, probably a little later than usual because it had a lot of lush new growth on up a couple weeks ago yet. So anyway, it's kind of crazy.
Watering is the key.
So yeah, it really was in this case because it was, because he watered it, then
gave it life again, essentially.
Yeah, a little bit early, back when we were first talking about this in early August, I think it was about when he was watering it. So,
all right, I tell you what, we actually have an email here from Lori. She says, "Good morning. Do birch trees ever get sun splitting issues on the trunk? Or is this from something else?" She did put 2 pictures in here, so I'll show you guys. "I noticed trunk damage the other day, and it's concerning. The holes in the lower area have me wondering about woodpecker damage. We lost one of the tree stems on the birch a few years back in a December windstorm. Another very large tree fell on it. Thank you." So, and then like she said, she has 2 pictures.
Is that a white clumping birch?
Yeah,
Looks like?
It's a paper birch.
Yeah.
And so it's the native Wisconsin paper birch.
Okay.
And it's not really I think it's just more of an age split than anything else. Not really, as trees get older, the bark kind of cracks and splits. It's a tree that's kind of going from a juvenile state into middle age, let's just say.
Midlife crisis.
Yeah, so as those stems get larger, you're just going to get more splitting on them like that. And I actually get that same question with people a lot of times on like autumn blaze maple and some of the other maples that have kind of a smooth bark. And then once they get, which are very smooth at when they're planted in as 2-inch trees and 4-inch trees and 6-inch trees, and then they get up into maybe a 12-inch diameter or 14-inch diameter, and they start getting these vertical splits. Well, it's just the tree maturing. It's nothing to worry about. So in her case here, nothing to worry about there.
Just some aging.
All I would recommend is it's a birch. Birch like a lot of water.
Yep.
To keep it in good health. And paper birch can be susceptible to birch leaf miner and borer. And there's chemicals that you can treat in the soil, but the other best thing you can do with a birch is just
make sure it's watered.
Make sure it's watered, because birch are indigenous to lowland swampy areas. I mean,
they're used to a lot of regular.
When you go up north and they like it cool, they don't like it hot and dry, and so
not like the blue spruce.
Right, just the opposite of the blue
Yes.
spruce. Yeah. So yeah, especially water birch, and this one here isn't showing any signs of bronze birch borer yet or anything like that. And it actually looks real good.
So do you see the borer effects in the trunk or in the leaves in upper canopy?
Well, you would see it first more up in the top, and we're just seeing a picture of about the bottom 10 feet of the tree. We're not seeing it way up in the top.
Looks pretty healthy.
If you can always detect bronze birch borer up higher, because the tips it'll start up at the top, and you can they'll fight through it. But if you start seeing that, then make sure you get on the program and stop out to Rademann's and pick up some of that, the annual tree and shrub insecticide. Get that around the root system.
It definitely works. Yeah, it does. I used it on my black lace elderberry, and it saved it.
That more from the Japanese beetle you're
It
talking.
might have been. I don't know. It just they were just not growing. They die back. Half the branches would die back every year. And I started using that annual tree and shrub, and now they're 6 feet tall.
Thriving.
Well, and my good friends Kevin and Debbie Freund, they had some. They live kind of up. It's a high dry site, and when they bought the house they're at, they had some birch trees planted that are kind of in the wrong site, quite frankly. And they were stressed, and you could see the bronze birch borer kind of getting into them. And this was 6, 7, 8, I don't know, maybe even 10 years ago now. And I said, you got to get out to Rademann's right now and water them, get them going on the chemical program. And you should see those trees today. I thought they would. I really thought they weren't going to be able to rescue them at the time. I said, well, you got to try something. You got to try it quick. I says, don't wait another year to, I says, get water going on them right now. Get that insecticide into the soil around them. Water that in real good.
And you only need to do that once a year.
Yeah. It's just once a year.
I assume you recommend in spring then?
That's fall is good too.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
Better fall than waiting till next spring.
Yeah.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, because it lasts for a full year, so it doesn't really matter when you do it. Is once you kind of get it on the program, and we sell more of it at Rademann's for Japanese beetle than for bronze birch borer, and that's just because bronze birch borer only affects
Birch.
paper birch or European birch or the white birch species, and so but Japanese beetle kind of gets after everything.
Yeah,
so,
it does.
So we sell a lot more of it for Japanese beetle, but it all works the same. You got to kill that larvae off in the soil and work from the roots up, and that way you don't have to try and spray way up into the tree and try and get the leaves and the.
So for the Japanese beetle prevention, is it better than to put it on in spring?
I know it doesn't really matter
Okay.
because again it's there in the spring if you
It's
would put
after
it
my
on.
contorted filbert.
Oh,
They love that. Oh my
well, they
gosh.
definitely have some favorites.
Yeah, they do.
All right.
So,
Tell you what, we will step away and take our second break. Do not go anywhere as you're listening to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company.
and like we said earlier, Rademann's is open today until noon. We're just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac, east of Highway 41 on County Trunk B by about a quarter mile. Open till noon today, Monday through Friday till 4:30.
Welcome back to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. I'm Matt Hinker, and joining me today is Ron Rademann and Master Gardener Patty. Phone lines are open for your gardening and landscaping questions, so give us a call at 923-1450 or 1-888-900-1450. Can't give us a call? Shoot your question over via email at kfizstudio@gmail.com.
I always like to mention here, I don't always think of it until after the show, but if you miss the beginning of the show or you can't stay and listen to the whole show, you can hop on YouTube and search for Landscape Smart 24 as in 2024, and you'll be able to listen to the part of the show or watch part of the show. There isn't much to watch, but you can.
Yeah, we're not doing demonstrations.
No.
Well, but anyway, yeah, you can definitely, if you missed today's show or if you want to can't listen to the whole show, pop on and listen to either the beginning or the end, whichever you missed.
Yep, or find
the middle.
Or find that part of the advice that you wait, what was said again? So you can go back again
Yeah.
and find out.
Well, a lot of times you do. You tune in a little late and you kind of heard
Half,
you
yep.
heard half of the answer, but not the whole.
Yep.
But not the question.
All right, I tell you what, we'll turn to the phone lines right now. You're on with Landscape Smart. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I got a question about pine trees.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's getting to the end of putting them in the ground if I buy one. I'm looking for something that's native to Wisconsin. what type of pine tree?
Well, I'm going to kind of turn your question from a specific question into a little more of a general question.
Yeah.
Because really about the only pine tree that's native to Wisconsin is the white pine,
Okay.
which is a good choice. The other one, if like white spruce or Black Hills spruce are good choices. Black Hills spruce, it sounds like it's just a genetic variation of the white spruce that grows a little slower and a little fuller. So it kind of qualifies as a native, even though it's more of a sub-native of the western part of.
Right.
But so Black Hills spruce or white spruce would be good.
Okay.
Another real good one that I like is balsam fir, and as you get north and west, you'll see a lot of balsam fir growing, along the edges of the roadways and things like that.
Okay.
So those are kind of the best native Wisconsin, evergreens.
Yeah.
Let's just say. So your best one in the fir family would be balsam fir. The best one in the pine family would be white pine, and the best one in the spruce family would either be like white spruce or Black Hills spruce. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is it too late? Is it too late?
Yeah, is it too late to put in?
Well, I think we're kind of right on the edge right now.
Yeah.
I would go ahead and plant yet right now.
Yeah.
Typically we've always kind of said September 15th was our deadline.
Right.
But that, we've kind of changed that. Over
Mother
the-
Nature's allowed
Yeah.
that to shift here a little bit.
Yeah, because it seems like we
Getting
get
warmer.
a lot
Later.
nicer weather in November and December than what we used to.
Yep.
So,
Great.
we've kind of moved that into the early part of October. And there too, the white pine, because it's got the longer needles, would be a little
Yeah.
more affected.
Yeah, it will.
Whereas maybe if you wanted to get into technical terms, maybe the first part of October would be the end of the season on white pine.
I think it
The
probably
first
grows the slowest too, maybe.
Oh, the white pine is going to grow the fastest of
Is
all
it
of
really?
those. Mhm.
Mine
Oh.
started out so slow.
Yeah, and that's almost the people's kind of hang up with white pine is sometimes it grows so fast you can kind of see right through them. So, there you have to, a lot of times if you want to screen something or block something, you have to
Right.
plant them in a little bit of a triangle or so that one kind of fills in the voids
Yeah.
of the other one.
Would any of them grow like maybe so high and then kind of taper off?
Well,
Like
they
20
do.
feet, 15,
Right.
20 feet.
Right, they'll grow fastest, usually not the first few years, like Patty
Right.
said.
Yeah.
They'll grow maybe a foot a year, 18 inches a year when they're young.
Yeah.
Then as they get into the 20-foot size and 25-foot size, you'll see them growing 2 foot or 2.5 feet, especially a year like this year where we had a lot of moisture right when they were pushing out their new growth
Yeah.
in June. This would have been a great year.
Yeah.
A lot of new growth, good new growth on them.
But you got to keep them watered all the
Yeah.
way until the ground is frozen.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I cut the grass on New Year's Eve last
I definitely remember a few people. I remember hearing a few lawnmowers around that time
Yeah.
last year in the neighborhood. So
well,
Well,
that's
thanks for your information, guys, and
a good timely question.
yeah, not a problem. Good luck planting those trees.
thank you.
Yep.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Deciduous trees you can still plant for sure.
Yeah, we're at a great time there.
And shrubs.
And shrubs, there with deciduous trees, even though they're done growing for the season, their roots aren't
I
done
was
Right.
just going
growing.
to say
Right.
the important
that's-
part would be growing.
And that's the key to planting, pine and spruce and firs, things like that too at this time of year. As long as the ground temperatures are warm,
Yep.
then go ahead and plant and put a
Water.
little extra mulch on them, and and then just water them, and once a week is enough. Or
Oh, yeah.
every 10 days,
As long as they're mulched, it helps keep the moisture in there.
Yeah, you don't really have to, don't water every day. You're not doing them any favors then. You kind of, if it's a new planting, you just kind of keep with the program, and that just means, about every 10 days is usually often enough, especially as we get into, today, tonight, tomorrow, we're at the autumnal equinox.
That's right.
So, we're at a point in time now where there's less, starting tomorrow, there's less daylight than moonlight. So
I like the longer days.
well, I think we all do. It's just
it's
kind of a little bit of a sad day.
It is.
But so anyway, as you get as the days are shorter, obviously things dry out a lot quicker if there's that extra 2 hours of sunshine in the morning and the extra 2 hours or 3 hours, at night that we get.
Yep.
So, you can get by with less watering as we get further into the season.
This is really an excellent time to divide your perennials and replant them if you have perennials that need dividing. And you just cut them back to about 4 to 6 inches and water them well, and then divide them, and then water them well some more. And
water them first.
Yes, water them first,
and then wait a couple days. That way you're not dealing with mud, but you'll have a little better.
Yeah.
You
can
kind of make yourself a little better clump, a little better root system, a little better ball of root.
That's the key to it.
Because if you go out there right now and just if you haven't watered them in the last 10 days, if you try digging them up now, you're going to end up with them bare root, and they'll probably still be okay.
Probably, if you take really, really good care when you plant.
But it's a lot easier to not do them bare root.
It's easier on you. It's better success.
Well, it's just if they end up bare root, then you got to try and filter the soil back in around the roots and things like that. Where if you can get a little solid clump, you can get away with it a little bit easier. They don't. It's not like Patty said. It's easier for you to do it. So that little bit and you got to water at some point in time. Once you're done planting them, you're going to be watering. So you might as well get the hose out and get the process started.
And this is a good time to get your orders in for your fall bulbs, your daffodils and tulips and everything.
Oh, okay.
You can start planting those already too, and they can actually, if you don't get them and plant them, as long as the ground isn't frozen, you can still plant them.
So that's what I'm hearing a lot of today here is, there's a lot of things you can do until essentially the ground is frozen.
Yep. A lot.
Well, a lot of times you end up, you think I get kind of everything done, and then all of a sudden you get that nice week in the end of November, early December. So then you can kind of take on a little more, a second project like that. And so there are advantages if we do end up with the nice fall. And of course you can't count on that. You got to still get your things done in October, because you just never know when
That's when you need to plant your garlic too. If you're going to plant garlic in your garden, October is the best.
Really? Why is that?
Because it has a chance to start producing roots, and then in spring when it grows, it'll be ready to harvest in mid-July.
Oh, okay. So you're just really getting a head start on it, essentially.
Yeah, if you garlic planted in spring never forms the biggest bulb. If you want a nice large bulb, plant it in fall.
Is it like cooler weather?
It just needs to get a root development ahead of time.
It needs to get the roots started.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And does that just take a long time for garlic?
It does.
Gotcha.
It does. And it doesn't it'll still make a decent sized bulb, but it won't be a giant bulb like you can get if you plant it in fall.
Like you were probably hoping or looking for
if
you did a fall plant. Gotcha. All right. I tell you what, we'll step aside and take our last break. Don't go anywhere as you're listening to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company.
And Rademann's open today. I think you can still get a delivery. I would call soon if you want one, though. 920-922-7612, or stop on out. We're just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac, east of Highway 41 on.
All right. Welcome back to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. I'm Matt Inker, and joining me today is Ron Rademann and Master Gardener Patty. Phone lines are open, 923-1450 or 1-888-900-1450. Or you can shoot us an email at kfizstudio@gmail.com. I have a quick question for you guys before we wrap up here in our final segment. And so we mentioned that looks like we're going to be getting at least some rain here in the near future, tomorrow, and then on to possibly onto Monday. So in order to take best advantage of that rain, would you recommend maybe watering a little bit before? Because we don't really, because like you said, you want to be careful not to let that rainfall give you false hope that you got the full watering that you needed. Or would you wait till afterwards in terms of seeing how much rain we got and then watering after that to make up for it?
No, that's a good question. And a lot of times I do like to do that, kind of piggyback the rain, so if you water today, and I don't know that, maybe you don't really want to necessarily need to water your lawn today. I guess, that you could, kind of wait and see how this really pans out. But I know we're not going to get enough rain to do trees and shrubs any good. Is probably enough to help the little bit of help that a vegetable garden would need at this time of year, and probably enough but it's going to probably be scattered too. So some areas,
yeah.
But I like to water today, and then that gets a chance to soak in when it rains again tonight and tomorrow, because then you're kind of you turn that an overnight rain into an all day rain, so to speak. And so if you water today, that'll, that kind of soaks in, gets in there, and settles out around your plants. And then when it rains again, it re-waters that top half.
Yep.
And it, again, like I said, it kind of takes it from an overnight rain into an all day rain.
Gotcha.
So, and if it happens to rain all day tomorrow, good. That's still good, because as dry as it is right now, nothing's going to be overwatered if you water and it rains. And there's a little chance, small chances next week, but more in the 30 or 40% chance for mid next week again. But that probably again isn't going to really do much good. Not as dry as it is right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it's going to be warm yet, 70s when they're talking, 2 weeks in the 70s yet. So, that just kind of keeps
evaporation going on.
Keeps your plants' root systems growing and active when you're watering them. And that just cuts down on the questions and problems that show up next spring. So
Sets everything up for success going into winter and then the next year.
Yeah. And if you have like your lilacs and different shrubs that have the fungus and things that affected the leaves, rake that all out of there, because that's going to, help the plant weather next year better. If all that debris is gone, that won't be in the soil then.
Right, with those spores that we were talking about earlier,
they live over winter.
Yes, they'll go dormant, they'll hang out, and then once it gets warm enough, they will absolutely reactivate and start redoing their thing again.
Well, just an aside to that too is, like Patty said, clean them up, get them out of there, because if you just drive over them with the mower, you're scattering all those spores all over around your lilac.
And don't put them in your compost either, because
I wouldn't.
It's going to live in the compost, and then when you use that, you'll have it back.
Circle of life.
Yes.
You're trying to, in this case of the spores, we're trying to break that circle. So
yes, you are.
So do not let it in any way re-enter the soil if possible,
Exactly.
as much as possible. And then obviously I would assume, is there anything then that else can be done here at, during the fall or even late into winter to be preventative when it comes to fungus and mildew and things like that?
No,
I like to mulch things.
yeah, just cleaning up the leaves is the
That's the most important.
is the most important part, and getting them, like Patty said, don't repurpose those.
Right.
But yeah, most of your fungicides that you're applying, you would spray those on, apply those more in
the spring,
late May and starting out in June, and so but not. There's nothing to spray right now.
I didn't think so, but
No.
I thought I'd still ask because I wasn't sure. You never know, because at least the reason I always try to ask preventative questions. One, preventing's always better than responding, right? And especially when I have at least found as I've done the show now and I'm doing more and more around my yard and garden and whatnot, is that the more you can prevent things, the way better off you are. So getting ahead of things is definitely a way to go if you can.
Right.
Nope, that was actually a great question, Matt.
Excellent. All right. Yes.
So yeah,
Feel good now.
because sometimes there are, if there's anything you can do to assist, next year, those are always things that.
Yeah.
And it's just really simple. Doesn't cost you anything, really.
Right.
Just clean up and
Yeah,
possibly mulch.
you got to do it anyway. So.
Right.
Exactly. So you might as well do it and do it thoroughly to make sure you save yourself possible headaches in the future, which is why I like to be preventive in the first place, because then it just makes your life that little bit easier.
So again, I'll just mention here as we're winding down, if you tuned in late and you want to listen to the first part of the show, check us out on YouTube.
That's right.
Landscape Smart 24 will bring us all right up, and you can listen to last week, 2 weeks ago, early spring. Doesn't apply too much anymore, but so Rademann's again open till noon today, Monday through Friday till 4:30. Give them a call, 920-922-7612, or stop on out just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac and east of 41 by a quarter mile on County Trunk B.